Welcome back. I'm Angel Lori. Today I will be discussing something that happened in 2021, which I still don't have any closure on. I was living here in North Carolina, on the west side of town, and it was one evening. I'm guessing it was like around, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was fast asleep. And the next thing I know, I heard a pounding on the wall of where my bed was, my bedroom wall. And I'm like, what the hell? Who's outside my house banging on this wall? But then it was more than just a banging. It was a pounding, just like boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, what is happening? Who is doing that? And I got up out of the bed and I went and I peeked through the blinds to see if I could see anybody out there. I didn't see anybody out there. Then this pounding happened again. And I was like, whoa. Then it pounded so hard that the whole house was shaking. I was like, are we having like a twister? Is this like a twister happening here? Because I'm like, I know people say you hear rushing wind, sounds like a train coming. I didn't hear any of that. All I heard was severe pounding, and then the house was shaking. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then, just as fear was about to set into me, it evaporated. I don't know why. And through my third eye, I saw what was banging and shaking the house. Because it was a private house I was renting. It was an enormous, and when I say enormous, it was an enormous, dark being, like the type of darkness you see in outer space, like the absence of stars. This gigantic dark being with gigantic dark wings was outside my house, banging, pounding, like it was trying to like bust through the wall, like it was like a portal there or something, and it was trying to get through this portal or this line of defense. And just as fear was about to set in me, once I saw what was on the other side of the wall, like I said, it evaporated. And all of a sudden, I don't know, whatever I am, was not afraid of whatever that was. And when I say enormous, I'm talking about like Godzilla size, dark winged being. Like Godzilla size, ginormous. I don't know, biggest dragon you can imagine size was outside that wall. And I don't know, whatever I am to whatever it was, but all of a sudden, I just like drew this energy through me, and I shouted at this thing, demon be gone. Demon be gone. And it was just like, you could just feel the energy just like leaving I just felt it now, leaving my body and like shooting out. And I felt like my form expanded. I felt like my form of who I am like went just about as big as that being was out there, if not bigger. And when I did that and expelled this energy, the pounding stopped. And I praised the Lord and it went away. I don't know who that was. I don't know what that was. It was ginormous. It was all dark, like the absence of light. Like, only thing I can equate it to is I don't see that type of the color black or darkness here. It was like creation. It was like a being of creation when it was just the void. It seemed like a void being because it was devoid of any type of spark. I don't know. It was strange. Now, I told my family about it and everything. I always get these things happening to me. And I told them about it, and he was like, wow, oh my God. And then during the interim, when my family was building a house and they was going to give up their apartment, and then everybody moved into my house for the interim while their house was being built. And I got validation because while they were there living with me, one evening, I'm laying in my bed, getting ready to go to sleep. And I'm just laying there watching TV. And, but it's late. I'm a night owl. It's late. I don't know. Could have been like, I know it was definitely past midnight. My daughter had went to sleep. Her husband was still awake. My dad was in the bedroom right next to me, and he was asleep. So the only other person in the house that was awake was my daughter's husband. And I'm laying in the bed. Then all of a sudden, that pounding started again. And I saw that it was the same being back again. And it was pounding. And then the whole house started shaking again. I mean, when I say the whole house is shaking, it's like this place is having an earthquake. An earthquake. If that's what it felt like. Like a twister was about to lift this house off the foundation. Like in the Wizard of Oz or something. And it was happening again. But this time I wasn't alone. And there were other people in the house. And I was like, one of them is going to hear this. One of them is going to hear what's happening and come running out. And I did exactly what I did before, but this time there was not even the sprinkling of fear because I already knew that the power within me, given by my God, my source, was greater than whatever that was trying to get in. And I had no idea why this being kept trying to get in. I lived in this house for like 5 years. I never had an instance of that ever until that very first time it happened. Now here we are having a second instance of it. So once again, I rebuke it. It stops. I guess it flees once it's actually formally rebuked. And no more pounding, no more house shaking. And I walked through the house. Thor was out there in the living room asleep. And I walked through the house and I saw my dad was asleep. And I went to the back bedroom and I saw that the TV was still on. So I knocked on the door. I was like, Jess, are you up? Did you feel what happened? And Jessie was asleep. But then her husband was like, what was that? The whole house was shaking. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to see if anybody else was up, if anybody else experienced that. He was like, what was that pounding? Why was the house shaking like that? I was going to come out, but I got scared. I was like, yeah, that was the same thing that happened, I don't know, like a month ago or 2 months ago. The same dark winged being pounding on that same specific spot of my bedroom. But it also caused the entirety of the house to shake. Like on the foundation, shake like an earthquake, like a twister was coming. He was like, oh my God, what is that? I was like, I don't know, but I'm happy to know that somebody else was awake that could corroborate the experience. I have no explanation. I never even decided to look up gigantic dark winged beings because I mean, like, They probably are a dime a dozen. But what I want to know is, why was it insistent on getting into my room, into my house where I was? And it was always the wall where basically my headboard would be. I don't believe in headboards. I just don't. Where the headboard would be from my bed, because my bed faces out that way in that house. And it was hitting that specific wall. Boom, 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 boom. And then everything starts shaking. I have no idea what that was, but that happened here in Greensboro, North Carolina, in a house that I was renting. No freaking clue. Now, also in that house, I experienced another phenomenon also in 2020. So this happened 2021. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened in 2020 was my daughter at the time, she had a health issue. And, that was during the COVID lockdowns. And she got so sick that she had to get taken to the hospital in an ambulance and admitted. And so she's admitted there. And this was, I believe, her second time that something had happened to her, that she had to be admitted, and it wasn't COVID related. And she, I would call the hospital and make sure she's okay. And they definitely was like, no, you cannot come. Her husband couldn't come, And we was like, she's got to be scared. Something's happening to her. I can't be there with her. Her husband can't be there. Nobody can be there. Who knows what they're doing? Because personally, I don't trust hospitals. I don't get sick, so I don't have to go to hospitals. I don't trust hospitals. God bless doctors and nurses and all that lot. But I don't want nothing to do with y'all. But so my only child is sitting in a hospital and I can't even get to her. So they told me that she was in ICU, and I know I had talked to the nurses to make sure that they understood that this is my child. And she better survive this. Whatever this is happening to her, she better survive it. And you better be giving her the best of care, because you don't want a piece of me. And, but in a nice way. Because you got to let people know when your people go into the hospital, and especially during a lockdown. This never happened before, where you can't go and you can't be with them. You can't visit. You can't sit there all night with them. So, you have to let them people know this person's got people. This person's got people. Don't get it twisted and don't do something wrong. So, I had to let that be known. But so she's in the hospital, and I'm praying, and I'm in constant prayer for her. And I went to sleep that night, and I woke up. I don't even know what time it was. I think I wrote this down in my journal, but I woke up to go to the bathroom. I think it was either 222 or 333, something like that in the morning. It was definitely consecutive numbers that I had woke up on. And I think I went to the bathroom, and then I decided to have to wash my hands and everything. I went to the kitchen. I was going to get something to drink. And in my kitchen, there's a window over the sink. So I was facing the sink. And all of a sudden, it's like the thought of my daughter came into me. And I was like, oh my gosh, she needs me now. So I was going to just start praying. But then all of a sudden, my body, I don't know what I channeled. I don't know who I channel, because I don't consider myself an open channel. I don't do that. I channeled either my higher self or some guide of mine. I don't know, but I channeled. And all of a sudden, I just started doing movements, with my hand and arms, specific definitive movements of my fingers and doing things, but with intention. And it was so fast that I was doing these symbols, and like my mind was clear and focused, and I'm doing all kinds of like geometric, and I know I did something with something this, and it was just really, really determined and focused and determined. Finger movements, arm movements, this. I know I did something over the crown of the head and the side of the face. It was just amazing. And I wasn't in control of any of that. That was completely channeled movements. And then I did something like, it was something with my fingers together, and then something, I did movements, and then I definitely remember I did something like this. Like right into my third eye. And then I shot it out like something like that. But it was definitely movements. Boom, boom, third eye. Boom. And some energy released. And it was focused like a laser to my daughter. I stood there in the kitchen like, what just happened? What just happened? What did I just do? And how did I do that? It was like expert. It looked like psychic surgery. It was like psychic surgery. It was precise hand movements, precise finger placements. It was alchemy. It was downright magical. And it was not me. Maybe it was hire me, knowing that my child is in danger and she needs healing and she needs it now. Took over and did what, and got that shit done. Got it done. Did what needed to be done to save my kid. But when I spoke to my daughter in the morning, she told me she felt that energy. She received it. She felt it. She was released 2 days later. All praise goes to God for that. All praise goes to God for that, to my source, for allowing whatever that energy was, whether it was a higher version of myself, my soul, galactic family stepped in. I don't know. But whatever did it, saved my daughter. Strengthened her, empowered her, gave her energy to correct her system so that she could be released in 2 days when they wanted to keep her another week. Also, regarding the hospital. Now, on the day she was going to be released, and once again, we can't go there. We can't go to get her until she's like out of the hospital. Literally. So she's in the hospital. She already signed her release papers, and the doctor gave her, all the little instructions or whatever for herself. And then she tells me that some doctor wanted to do some other test on her, and that they basically wanted her to stay another week. I already knew that my child was healed. I already knew it because I sent it. And I was like, no, that will not be required. That's not necessary. Then she says, well, Mom, here, speak to the doctor. She gave the doctor the phone. And the doctor was like, oh, yes, Miss Hargett, and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And I was like, excuse me. My child will not be staying for any further testing. My child will be leaving that hospital today as scheduled. And when I was talking to that doctor, I could feel and sense the malevolence of the being of what that doctor was. And this is through the phone. I was like, my child is no. And then Jessica said, like, the cheery demeanor of the woman when she first walked in the door and was talking about, oh, we need to keep you for some more testing, blah, 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 the blood test, blah, blah, blah. She says, when she handed me back the phone, Mom, her whole demeanor changed. She looked like a demon. She looked like a freaking vampire to me. And Jessie said, I am leaving. And she said the woman started cursing. The doctor started cursing. Talking about that you can't leave, I'm going to do this, and you need to do that, and this, that, and the other, and then talking to the nurse, cursing. And Jessie said that the whole demeanor, like the whole facade, fell off when she got off the phone with me. Because I pulled that facade off of that. You don't mess with a child of God. You don't mess with a child of God's child. Zero zip zilch. You don't do it. Anyway, so Jessie said her whole facade fell, and she was just like mad. Jessie said she was looking at her, and she just like had hate in her eyes. And I told Jessie, I said, when I was talking to her, the energy that came over me was not good. Was very demonic. Very demonic. Very entity attachment. Whether she had her entity attachments and I sensed it, or she was just something else altogether in the guise of humanity. Because I told my daughter, I said, be careful when you're in there. Once they get a sample of your blood, they may come for you. I did tell her that. They may come for you. You people got to understand, it's all about the DNA here. It's all about the blood here. Your bloodlines, your DNA, that's the commodity of this place. And all of that can equal to the love of it. And what's the love of money? You guessed it. It's the root of all evil. Anyway, so when that doctor realized that she wasn't going to be able to keep my child in that hospital and get more of her blood and do all kinds of whatevers, no. You got to understand, there are psychic vampires. There are real vampires. There are real demonic things in this world. Guard your grill. Protect your children. I thank God that energy, that I call it, once I told Zoe, one of my spiritual friends, I told her, she said to her, it seemed like it was a form of physical light language. Physical light language. like Arcturian type of healing with the hand movements. I told them the closest I can explain it was, if you ever saw that show, I'm not sure if it was Netflix or Amazon Prime, it was called the AO. If you ever seen the AO, it was movements, but not exactly what they did, because they did whole body movements and all of that. This was just strictly hands and arms, but in specific patterns and combinations, and it was amazing. I don't know, and I've tried to remember the movements. I've tried to remember the specific movements of healing. They're gone. Whatever moved through me to send that energy to Jesse, the information didn't stay retained. I don't even have muscle memory of it, except for just the one where it ended with the oh, I can't even do it, coming out of my third eye, and then that way. It was amazing. So it was some form of physical light language, physical healing. We have the power to heal ourselves. We have the power to heal others. Remember, Jesus said, you can do as I do. And we can. We really, really can. That was the night I learned I'm a healer. I can heal. I can heal long distance. I can heal with a touch. I can heal with my voice. My voice speaks blessings. It speaks codes. It speaks to awaken and activations. That is a gift of God. So this was another telling of some very powerful experiences that happened right here in good old North Carolina. And at that house that I rented, I don't know if the house is on a particular ley line. I don't know. But you gotta understand, we live, we move, we come and go where we're supposed to. So when you're living somewhere, like I'm living here now, I'm supposed to be here now. There's a reason. It could just be the fact that this is where my energy radiates. Maybe it's because there's a particular ley line here that assists me, or I assist it. We are placed where we need to be, where we are needed. So at that time in my life, during 2020, 2021, in that house is where I was supposed to be. And these amazing experiences happened there. I've never in my life dealt with any gigantic black beings with black wings in any type of confrontational or anything. Nothing. Not even in a comic book. And then dealing with doing light physical healing movements in a specific way that was determined. It was focused like a laser to my daughter, and it was just boom, 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 done. Like, that's just like the way it's supposed to be. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, we should all know how to do this. It was just that easy. And I'm like, but why wouldn't they let me retain it? Why wouldn't I still know it? Why wouldn't I still be able to do that for others in that specific way? I don't know. More questions for hypnotic regression. But this was this episode of Angel Lori. Perhaps something like this has happened to you. Have you done spontaneous, like physical light language to heal someone? Whether they're in your presence or long distance? Have you dealt with an entity that was like all black, gigantic? I don't know, 100 feet tall, 200 feet tall, 300 feet tall. It was huge. With black wings, pounding. I don't know if it was pounding to get into my room or if it was like some type of metaphor. Maybe it was pounding to get into this dimension, pounding to get into this universe. And basically, what I am said, you shall not pass. So I don't know what to tell you. It was one of the most extraordinary experiences, and that my daughter's husband was able to corroborate it, that he too experienced something really, really strange, something that was banging on the house and that shook the whole foundation of that house. So there you go. It's good when you can get confirmation. When you can, because you can't always. But when you can, it's good. So thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Angel Lori. I'll see you next time. And blessings to all. Be kind to each other. Love each other. Heal each other. Stay healthy. Stay strong. Stay blessed. Thank you for watching.